Cory Singer is an accomplished singer, songwriter, musician, and theater performer. And he began his career in 2005 in musical theater, and through 2013, he celebrated many achievements as an actor in musicals and Broadway. And as a musician, Cory Singer has performed in arenas before thousands nationwide. And he starred on Bravo's singing competition show, The Kandi Factory, winning the grand prize, a song penned by Grammy-winning artist Kandi Burruss entitled I Can Do Anything. And Cory is an exceptional songwriter in his own right. His original songs are in very high demand, and country supergroup The Highway Women, now ElectraQueens, recorded his song The Devil in 2018. And then in 2020, during the pandemic, Cory Singer took to TikTok and decided to share his journey with autism. And he has since become an influencer and an advocate for children, families, and adults who are on the spectrum. And he has used his platform with over 500,000 followers and 14 million likes to promote positivity by inspiring others, coining the phrase, "Let's normalize autism." And additionally, he is a part of the board of directors for the I Am Able Foundation and is an ambassador for Sound Mind Network. So ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome the multi-talented singer, songwriter, actor, and global influencer for normalizing autism, Cory Singer. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. I did all that.
Yeah. Hey, there's a lot of parts that I actually left out because you have done quite a bit in a very short amount of time. I mean, Cory, when did you first realize being a singer and a performer was what you wanted to pursue?
Well, ever since I was at a young age, I always liked being a center of attention, and so just kind of gravitated towards that. And for some reason, I just always wanted to be on stage in front of people and performing. And I finally got the opportunity in the fourth grade. I did my very first play, The Velveteen Rabbit. I was the clown, and I was hooked. And I just did all the local summer kid theaters in the summers, and the school theater, the community theater. Did a little bit of regional theater, which is really cool. And it was a passion for me. I just liked being on stage and just showing off what I could do.
Well,
And
were you
bringing
ever nervous? Were you nervous before going out to perform or act?
I'm always nervous. The way I see it, and a friend of mine from theater put it best: if I'm not nervous, I don't deserve to be up there. Um, I I pride myself in wanting to give 1,000% no matter what. If it's a crappy venue, or uh, if it's a big stadium like Madison Square Garden, I give it my all.
Well,
So
I love that. I love it. I still get nervous a bit before every interview. I'm kind of like you. I just want to make sure that I give my best. But how about you? You're on stage. Do you feel that you're just drawing that energy from the audience and that kind of ignites that passion within you?
probably, yeah. I feel like a lot of that depends on person to person. Uh, a lot of times I always my best performances always happen when it's a back and forth with the audience. Like if the audience is reacting well to what I'm doing, that kind of builds up more of the confidence and just me wanting to give it back to them. It's like almost like a game of catch. You know what I mean? It's something we could all participate in, and if that makes sense, you know what I mean?
Oh
Just
yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Now, how did you get onto Bravo's The Kandi Factory?
so. What happened is that I did a national anthem gig down in Atlanta, Georgia, which is where the Real Housewives of Atlanta is filmed, which is where Kandi Burruss is on. And Phaedra Parks was there, and she suggested I do the Kandi Factory, and so I auditioned. I was the summer before my senior year of high school, and it was an arduous process, but it was also fun because like each time it's like, okay, you're one step closer, you're one step closer. Had to film an audition video, and this is back when I was really immersed in the theater, And that's when I started playing guitar. I'd been playing guitar for almost a year at that point. And so the two songs I used to audition were "I Am What I Am" from College of Fall, and it's a theater song. And then, which is a big positive song. And then right after that, to show off my guitar skills, I sang "Needle in the Damage Done" by Neil Young, which is just a very opposite downer song. But I got on the show, and it was quite the experience. It was during my senior year of high school. I told the principal and maybe one other person at the school that I was allowed to talk to. I couldn't tell anybody. I had to take a week off from school, and to go down to Atlanta to film it, I had to tell everybody. This is actually a funny story. And when I came back, everybody's like, "Cory, you're alive!" Like, yeah, I had the flu. And then a couple months later, I actually ended up getting the flu. And so they're like, "Wait, you got the flu twice?" I'm like, "Crazy, right?"
Now, was the competition airing while you were still a senior in high school?
Yeah. So we filmed it in either November or December of 2012, and Uh, it aired during 2013, while towards the end of my senior year. So
So did you gain some extra fame being a senior in high school?
yeah. Well, I was already being autistic. You're already the weird kid, and I was kind of like the odd dude. But I got my respect from people from being the theater kid and being on stage. I always got all the leads and all the shows. I was always asked out to sing the national anthem on all the school sporting events. So people respected me. But after the show, people really respected me. Like everybody in the hallway stared at me, and it was a weird feeling. And then people, recognized me after the show as well, just randomly in public, and it was a weird, it was cool but weird. It's like, wow, like I have no idea who you are, but you know me. But
Well, Cory, that brings up a good question. Okay, so let's say you gained some fame senior year in high school by being on the Kandi Factory, and so in a way, there's like a before Cory and an after Cory. But on the after, did that really help you, or the persona to all of your classmates? Did that normalize autism?
no, um,
No.
actually, no. Like, here's the thing. That was my thing. My On those shows, you all have your story, and in the audition process, they say, okay, what's your thing? And there was what was interesting about the show. It's not like American Idol or America's Got Talent where there's one winner in the end. There was a winner per episode, and there's two people competing per episode. And so I was up against a girl named Kristen, very nice girl, who her story was her brother had died in a car accident years ago, and my story was I was the autistic theater kid. And so we got along very well. We never felt like we were in competition with each other. We just like we're very friendly, which was cool. But I talked about autism. There are things about the show that I feel like it kind of they made it seem like I had more of a hard time than I did when actually filming the show. Quite honestly, because when I got there in Atlanta, it was the first time I ever traveled anywhere by myself without my family. So, I traveled from New Jersey to Atlanta, and the producers picked me up, and I was like, "Oh, I'm a little nervous," and they got nervous, and they called up my mom. They're like, "Hey, like initially we said we didn't want you to come, but your son's nervous, he's autistic," and my mom's like, "Listen, he's got this. He can handle it. If he really feels like he needs me to come over, he'll let you guys know, but he's got this." And it was a great growing moment for me. But I like, for example, I had to learn, the song that Kandi wrote for me. I learned it on my guitar. I brought my guitar with me, and they made it seem like I had a very difficult time learning it when really it was actually very easy for me. And it's like, it's just little things that what happens behind the scenes, and then what they show when they air it. It's like, huh. So it was,
Part of it
it's
was
cool.
television.
Yeah, yeah, and
Yeah.
there's also something interesting with that too. Uh, this, I know this. We're talking about gonna TikTok in a little bit, but I also said I had Tourette syndrome. Now, a doctor had diagnosed me with Tourette syndrome, but I found out at 25 years old that I never actually had Tourette syndrome. That it was just me stimming, and it was misdiagnosed, which was a byproduct of my autism, which I didn't know. And so, like on national TV, I'm just thinking, I said on TV that I have Tourette syndrome, and I don't even have it. I feel bad, but I thought I did. So it's like it's crazy. So
Well, for all of my viewers and listeners out there that, we've heard about autism, but a lot of people don't understand that in a way there's different types. So, can you
yeah.
explain to us what it means by being on the spectrum?
So autism is a developmental disability. I was diagnosed at around 4 years old. I actually didn't start speaking until I was about 4 years old, around the time I was diagnosed. And I was delayed in many ways. I was held back in kindergarten because everybody was surpassing me and I was kind of struggling. And best way to describe it is imagine being an alien from a different planet, but you're trapped on someone else's planet and you're like a fish out of water. That's basically kind of the best way I could describe it. Now, I'm people consider me high functioning, which is a outdated term we like to use. I have low support needs. So I can drive. I could be in relationships. I have friends. I I'm very independent. I can be very self sufficient. But I have my struggles. Like a lot of times, I have a hard time understanding sarcasm. That could, I can understand it like better now than when I did a long time ago. But then when I try being sarcastic, a lot of people think I'm being serious. So it's like, no, that was me being sarcastic. Um, Getting overstimulated very easily. Like when I'm not doing music or TikTok, I work full time. And it's a great job. I work in a warehouse, but it can be very overstimulating with a lot of the noise and I'm very routine oriented, and one thing happens that is not involved in that routine, I go berserk internally. But then I mask it by trying to keep it in all the time. Then when I get home, I crash on the sofa. I'm burnt out, and I always say when you meet one autistic person, there's only one autistic person. I was diagnosed with Asperger syndrome, which is again a outdated
Well,
term.
that
Like,
was actually going to be my next question because, for a lot of people out there who do not know, Elon Musk has
yeah,
Asperger's.
yeah, him, Dan Aykroyd, Anthony Hopkins, Daryl Hannah, uh, Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon. Like,
Wow.
basically, what I've noticed from a lot of autistic people, and all my best friends were autistic, we're all very creative individuals. And, if you harness it correctly, like, when I do my songwriting, you could probably create something or do something great. Like, Elon Musk with Tesla, Satoshi Tajiri with Pokemon. His special interests were bugs and video games. Combine the two, create a Pokemon. Like, uh, there's when you get people who are autistic, when we have a something certain interest, you know what I mean? We know everything about it. Like, so when you hear us talking about it, it's not we're talking with excitement because we know so much about it. We want to share that with other people. It's like case in point, like this is a stereotype, like trains. Is like an autistic stereotype that autistic people like trains, and like let's take that concept, right? They will know every when the first train was made, what model it was, what year it was made, where that company is now. Every single train model there is, they'll collect train stuff. That's basically an autistic person.
Well, then, Corey, let me ask you this. So let's say Elon Musk sends out a tweet or he makes a statement in the press. You probably understand him a lot more than other people,
Probably.
because it only makes sense. And but for you, how did you get started as an influencer?
So my label was telling me that I needed, I'm been doing music for the longest time. My label had been telling me to start a TikTok account because TikTok was at the start of COVID, right? And it had been around before COVID, but it was during COVID when it really took off. And I'm like, okay, I'll get started, do some music stuff. But then I just more focused on posting funny stuff with a little bit of success. And one day I made a joke about talking about being autistic, like how I have Asperger's, it's a form of autism, and there's nothing wrong with that, except for the name, because it sounds like Asperger's, which sounds like something you would get after eating McDonald's. And the video blew up, and I'm like, I may have something here. And I just started posting more and more autism videos and learning more about autism so I could better talk about it. And I figured, I have it. I don't know that much about it. So I might as well do some research on it. And by doing that, I better understood myself. Because I started that when I was 25. And here's the thing, but before then, I'd actually been masking my autism so heavily and actually gotten to such a denial for a couple of years that I had autism and thought I cured my autism. I'm not autistic anymore, which was the worst couple of years of my life, quite honestly. Because, and I say this all the time on TikTok, masking is it's not great for autistic people who are able to do it. Like I can mask, but we're doing it for the benefit of other people and not for ourselves. Here's the thing, that the system's rigged against us. We learn how to behave like other people, but other people don't want to learn what it's like for us. You know what I mean? And that's why I do what I do on
Yeah,
TikTok.
perfectly said. Because I've watched some of your videos on Instagram where you're openly talking about autism and then explaining it, and I think that is fantastic. And I completely understand where you're coming from. Where you know you shouldn't be masking. You are who you are,
Exactly.
and you know and I love when you coined the phrase "let's normalize autism" instead of basically, well, trying to be like everybody else just to make them feel at ease about being around you or other autistics. You are who you are. You're unique. You bring such incredible talent to all of mankind. And I mean, I was sitting here today between interviews listening to all of your songs and your incredible voice. I mean, my goodness gracious. I mean, I can see why you're on Broadway or performing at Madison Square Garden. You've got what it takes.
Haven't gotten to Broadway or Madison Square Garden yet, but I'm there's wood right there. I'm knocking on wood. So
Well, I'll just speak that into being for you. But tell us more about using your social media platforms to advocate for other autistics, and what is the most meaningful to you about being able to make these connections with other people?
So everything I'm about to say, I say humbly. I don't. I always say that because I always feel like I'm bragging, and I'm not. So when I was younger, when I was 10 years old, YouTube was just starting. And YouTube wasn't what it was today. I remember the YouTube when it first started. People just posted funny short videos and stuff. People posted stuff from movies and all that. But then YouTube became an outlet for people, and of course, I use TikTok, and talking about autism, like I said before, then I have been masking so heavily about my autism and denying that I even was autistic, and it helped me accept myself even better. I love myself now even more than I did long ago, many years ago. But the reception I've gotten from many people, like they feel like my videos say that it helps them be heard. You know what I mean? Like it
Yeah,
helps.
it completely makes sense because I saw one of
Yeah.
your videos, which I just thought was fantastic, and you just spent a few minutes explaining about dating, and I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. And
Yeah.
for everyone watching and listening, Cory, for someone like you who is high functioning, dating is just as normal as it is for everybody else, correct?
It could be, and that's part of it too. Like my ex girlfriend, she learned a lot about autism from dating me. We met online. Um, we, she knew I was autistic, but I masked it a little bit. So like but then when you're together for a minute, you just start letting go and being yourself. And she learned so much about autism from me, and uh, that's meaningful. Like she said, like it's something that you can't help having, and it's just not fair that people judge you like that. But and also getting messages from people online. When I post on TikTok, like that they say they see my videos, they relate to the stuff I'm saying, and they go to the doctor and they say they think they may have autism, and then they find out that they get a diagnosis like, oh my god, I've been autistic. This explains everything. Like one of my mother's best friends, she was watching my videos, and she was like, wait, this is my daughter, and discovered that her daughter may be autistic,
Well,
and it
I,
explains so much. Yeah.
yeah, because I think one of the big surprises when it comes to, let's say, famous talent like yourself, when Simon Cowell discovered Susan Boyle, people did not know that
Yeah.
she had a form of autism.
Yeah.
And but again, high functioning, extremely talented, just like you. And there's more out there. And do you find it surprising? You got diagnosed early, but then a lot of these people, like Susan and others, they don't get diagnosed until much later on in life, and then all of a sudden the light bulb goes off inside of them. Like, so that's what I've been dealing with all these years.
Yeah. I don't find it surprising, quite honestly, because here's the thing. Like I'm a younger guy. I'm not trying to say like, oh, they're old, but it's like they're coming from a time where autism was much more of a taboo subject. They didn't back then in the medical field. They didn't know as much as they know and the general public know now, and the general public is still learning at this point. Like that's partly why I'm talking about it, but I get messages from people who say like, I was diagnosed late in life at like 60. I'm like, wow, like, but it doesn't surprise me, like, because here's the thing. Think of it, like, go back to what was the first movie we could all think of that really talked about autism in the mainstream? It was Rain Man.
Rain Man.
That was the very first movie to really talk about it. Before then, there wasn't really many mainstream movies that talked about autism, and it helped bring it to the limelight. But then people thought, "Oh, that's autism. You're Rain Man." It's like, no, I'm not. I'm not Rain Man, and that's partially why people like me and other people on social media post about being autistic. We're trying to get rid of that stigma. There are definitely people like that out there. We're not denying that at all. But there's people like us too, as well. And our needs don't get met the way they should have been. Like, I wish there was someone like me on TikTok or YouTube when I was 10 years old, when I was struggling in school, when I was struggling, to try and figure myself out. And, now with that, what the younger people have that someone like me didn't have, they have people like me talking about it. And their parents could see it too, as they get better understand their children.
So, what
You know what I
type
mean?
of positivity are you receiving from fans that are autistic versus, I mean, along with the parents? What are you hearing from them when they're seeing you sing and you're talking openly about your autism? What are you receiving from them?
Uh, it's great. It's great because a lot of parents, whenever I go live on TikTok, I get the same messages. It means so much. Like, you're helping me understand my child better, and that's it. And I say this humbly. It means a lot that, like, just talking about it could help change someone's life. And other people says like, it makes me understand myself better. I use your videos to help people understand me better because I knew all this, but I have you who's able to verbalize it for me. I show it to them and they're able to understand it better. I'm like, oh, and it's just it's very humbling. That's the best way I can think about it. It's humbling.
Well, you must bring a lot of peace as well as understanding to a lot of parents out there who haven't really grasped to understand their child with autism. And I think definitely you're helping them along their journey and make it more positive and happier.
Yeah, and if I could have that's something, like I said before, I wish I had when I was younger. It would have helped my family out. It would have helped me out. It would have helped my school out. You know what I mean? I had an IEP, and it barely did anything for me. I got maybe extra time on a test. I got an extra teacher in the classroom. Other than that, it like didn't help me out that well in school. I was a bad test taker. I barely made it, and I was lucky to have made it. But now, because of people, like myself and other people who I'm friends with on TikTok and Facebook and what have you, we get rid of that stigma. We educate people on what it's really like, so it can help young children who may not completely understand it. But now we have people who, teachers can better understand it, so they can better teach their students and
Oh
help
yeah.
their.
Yeah, and even when I see interviews and I'll just use Elon Musk as an example, and I already knew about his condition, already knew with his autism, but when I'm hearing him speak about whatever he's talking about, the thought of autism never enters my mind. I mean, I'm talking to you now. Autism does not enter my mind because yes, you are high functioning, and I think you're the perfect example of normalizing autism. And
Yeah,
when you brought up Rain Man, that's a bad thing about Hollywood. Hollywood creates a stereotype and can make it very tough on other people.
it does, and it's a stereotype that unfortunately we're getting better at portraying autism better. Like, I think The Accountant was a great step in, like, I think that's one of the best autism movies because,
One of my
and I think,
favorite movies of all time.
yeah,
And
and
the
Ben,
sequel is coming from what I hear.
oh yes, but Ben Affleck, I tip my hat to him as an actor, because one thing he really did that no other autism movie showed, no other actor has been able to do, is show what masking is like for an autistic person, and that movie is a perfect representation of what it's like for someone to, who can function in society and has to mask. Like they show when he's not able to finish what he loves to do, which is math, it sends him into a tizzy. It's like, that's what it's like for me. Like, if my day is perfectly scheduled out and one random thing comes in and ruins it, I'm like, but I gave advice recently on TikTok and said, like, if one thing, and this has helped me as well, and that's why I gave the advice, is to come up with a backup plan. You know what I mean? Just, a nice backup plan. If that doesn't work out, okay, I can fall back on this. And I gave that advice, and some people said this actually helped my kid. So, but the movie is a great representation. Like I say, like, go see The Accountant. And I think Ben Affleck did a fantastic job. It didn't feel like an exaggeration like you see a lot of times. It didn't feel like, oh, like he's like, it shows like the autistic person can, do well in life.
Well, yeah, and and I've probably seen The Accountant probably like 10 times. And what I love the way he portrayed it, and you'll probably agree with this, is that not only did he show his outer self to everyone that he was in contact with, but the film showed how he was by himself,
Oh, yeah.
alone at home. And I even liked the way that, and you can answer this question, how he portrayed his character when he was talking to a girl, which there was a little struggle there, but you could see the growth through the film as it moved along.
I related to that. I didn't start being intimate. I was a late bloomer. Now that's getting really personal, but no, but you're right. Like, when, like you said, like, autism would never come to your mind. It's like, that's true. Like, that's part of masking. I only let people see, and I say this on TikTok. You only get to see what I put out there. You see me in my private time. Like, you don't see me after a long day of work and me just like being burnt out and just kind of. You've never seen my autistic meltdowns. Like, I have melted down very badly before. At one point, and I feel bad about this, and I almost blew out one of my mom's eardrums. Like, I was screaming so loud from a meltdown. And people don't realize that, like, yeah, on the surface level, I may appear just like you, but this is still something that I do have to deal with, unfortunately. And it's beyond my control. Like, I'm never not going to be autistic. I'm always going to be autistic. And that's one thing I like to stress on TikTok. Your child is never not going to be autistic. even into adulthood, the autism is going to stay there forever. I'm always going to be like this. Um, sure, maybe in the future there'd be better ways of me dealing with it, because I'm still learning as well. And I was diagnosed as a child, but it's like you said, on surface level, I always get told you don't look autistic. It's like, well, how am I supposed to look?
Yeah, yeah,
Like it's
I know what you mean. I completely understand what you mean. But let me ask you about your singing and your songwriting. Tell us a little bit about the music you create, and is there any tie-in to your autism?
There's one song that is a tie-in to my autism, and it's you may have heard it. It's Someone.
Yes, I love that song,
Thank you.
and I love the acoustic version.
Thank you. That's actually one of my favorite songs I've written. So I have been writing, I think, for about 7 or 8 years at that point, and I had grown a lot as a writer, but that was the first time I got truly vulnerable and honest in my writing, and it was in the midst of COVID, and like right at the beginning, we were locked down, and I was lonely too, and I just put it down to paper, and it was late at night. I came up with that chorus, I need someone to love me as I am, like that. I went to bed, and the next day I woke up, I went for a walk, I came home, and I wrote the song in maybe 20 minutes. And it was a quick write because I just got honest. And I started writing like that more. And actually, this goes back to the Kandi Factory. Kandi Burruss doesn't know this, but she kind of is who planted the seed for songwriting for me. I had been playing guitar for a year when I filmed the Kandi Factory, and me and Kristen, she wrote songs based on our stories and all that. Me as I Could Do Anything, and hers was Wish You Were Here, for a brother. But she gave us both lyric sheets, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, verse, pre-chorus, chorus, bridge, chorus, an MP3 with the song with her vocals, and then an MP3 of just no vocals so we could practice with it. But I brought my guitar with me, and I'm like, it's written out right in front of me. It is that simple. It's that easy. Like, it's just, that's a song right there. And right while we were filming, that's when I started writing, and I just kept writing ever since. And that's what eventually led to Someone. And
Well, Cory,
yeah.
let me ask you this because it's almost like Ben Affleck in The Accountant.
Mhm.
Very excellent at math. So when that situation was laid out in front of you, did it just almost become like an equation? Like the light bulb went off and you like, bam, you started understanding songwriting and the breakdowns of certain areas and putting it together?
Songwriting, I think, is a bit of a different animal. Like, you don't you're not good at songwriting right off the bat. I still remember the early songs I wrote. They weren't bad, but they were pretty terrible. But uh, but it's one of those things, like working out. You know what I mean? When you first start, you're gonna be weak. You're gonna struggle, but you just gotta keep going and going and going, and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. That's songwriting, and you have to learn different techniques of how to write songs, and that's what I did. I carry around a little notepad with me all the time. Everywhere I go, if I hear someone say something that sounds interesting, I'll write it down. I'll be at my day job. I'll start writing a song while I'm at my day job. Like, I'm always working. I wake up an hour before work. I live close enough to my job where I could just walk there if I wanted to. But I take like 20 minutes to a half hour. I'm learning piano right now, and I've been playing for 5 months, and I practice before work. So if like I get a busy evening where I don't have the time, I can say, okay, at least I did that. And after work, it's like filled with songwriting, making TikToks, and songwriting. It goes back to what I said earlier in the interview. I'm a creative person. You know what I mean? I liked drawing when I was a little kid. I liked figuring things out. And with songwriting, I think it's the perfect outlet for me because I love performing. I love being on stage. Why not create something where I could perform it and it really comes truly from the heart?
No, absolutely. What are some of your long-term goals for the future of being a musician and even an advocate for autism?
Broadway, Madison Square Garden, and uh,
You're gonna get there. I know it. You
knocking
you
on the
have
wood.
more than enough talent, Cory.
Thank you. And in terms of the autism advocacy, I definitely want to keep going. I'm always going to go with that. And let's say I do get famous, I'm not going to hide it, and I'm going to tell people like straight up, like this is what it's like, and I don't want to. I don't want to come off as like, oh, look at him, he's autistic and he's a singer songwriter, inspiring. Like, no, that's not the goal route I'm trying to go. I'm trying to be like, no, like this is something I got to live with, and I'm not trying to be inspiring. Well, a little bit I am, but that's not the end goal. It's to educate people to help them, not to like go look. If I could do it, you could do it too. Like I, no one is ever gonna be like me, and
Right.
I'm never gonna like my best friend, Drew. Shout out to Drew. He's autistic too. We've been friends since we were kids. Uh, I'm never gonna be like him, and he's never gonna be like me. But um, like I said, no two autistic people are the same. But
That's true.
if I could do a way and to help, kids understand themselves better, parents understand their kids better, teachers understand the students that they're teaching, society understand autistic people as a whole. We're trying to get it's a disability.
Yeah.
People like to deny that it is a disability. We want people to understand it the same way that people understand blindness, the way they understand deafness. We want people to understand autism like that. They think that because I am considered quote unquote high functioning that I can't that I should be perfect, that I shouldn't have any struggles. No, I have struggles. I can't, I'm always going to have these struggles. I can't help the fact that I have these struggles. It's up to you to understand I have these struggles and learn how to deal with it because we shouldn't have to keep placating to you. Start placating to us now. It should be an equal playing field.
I completely agree with every word you just said, Cory. And ladies and gentlemen, that's why Cory Singer's on the show today, so we can all learn about autism. We understand being the spectrum, understanding that we need to learn more about what autism is. And Cory, wow, when are we going to see a full length album from you?
I'm working on it right now, actually. I just recorded a song a couple days ago. We're putting it together right now. Don't have the date on the album, but I have the date for my next single coming out, which is a proposal song called Chance of a Lifetime. It's going to be available on all the streaming services July 8th. So you could go to all the streaming services. You could pre-order the song, go to my website, corysinger.com, and it could take you all there. July 8th is when it releases. So if you're want to propose to your special someone, that song's for you.
And your website again is what, CorySingerMusic.com?
No, corysinger.com.
CorySinger.com. And that song's on your website now, isn't it? The proposal?
A clip of it is just a pre-order.
I listened to the clip today, and ladies and gentlemen, you're going to literally fall in love with this song. Cory just said it's going to debut July the 8th. And I'm going to tell you something, and Cory, I tell all of my viewers and listeners when I have recording artists on the show like you buy the music. Don't download for free, because that's how full-length albums get made, because you buy the singles. So,
thank you.
And Cory, when I heard the clip of the proposal, and let me tell you something, not only is the clip beautiful, again, you have the most remarkable voice. I can see you on stage with Andre Pacelli. Josh Groban. I put you in that category because you've got that much talent.
Thank you so much. That means a lot. Thank you.
And again, I want to thank you for being on the show today. Ladies and gentlemen, please head over to CorySinger.com. Follow him on Instagram, TikTok. You're going to be a fan just like I am. The moment you hear his voice singing, you're going to be drawn in. You're going to be an instant fan. And just like me, we're going to be waiting for that full-length album, Cory. And you got to promise me, when that album debuts, you got to come back on the show.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And thank you again so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
Well, it's been enlightening for me. It's been an education, and you have given me more to think about and more to learn about autism and incredible people like you. So, ladies and gentlemen, again, go to CorySinger.com at the bottom of your screen and stay tuned. I will be right back with more.
No energy? Always fatigued? Has your got up and go got up and went? Primrose Leaf's Pro Max 365 helps to produce natural energy, increase endurance and stamina, improve performance during exercise, reduce pain from fibromyalgia, and is excellent for cardiovascular support. A doctor-designed, deliciously berry-flavored formula that's great for ages 18 to 99. Order Pro Max 365 and get the natural energy you've always wanted. Call 844-376-0007. Refuel daily with Pro Max 365 and get your life back.